Alright guys, John here, the artist formerly known as Haze Inc. That's right, I'm using my real name and that's how it's going to be going forward, so be happy. Anyway, I'm joined here today by someone who's scared for me to let you know their real name. Their real name is Jessica. Jessica, why don't you go ahead and say hello and introduce yourself to the good people?
What's going on, everybody? Lethal one up here. You guys can call me Lethal. If you want to call me my first name, you can just call me Lethal. That works. That works. In fact, a lot of people know my first name. It's Jared. It's no surprise. But I mean, Jared's kind of boring a little bit. You guys can feel free just to call me Lethal.
Was that guy that worked at Subway not called Jared?
And that's why. That is why we don't say my name. It's either that or it's a jewelry store. Oh yeah, you went to Jared.
Hey, Jared the Subway guy, that's what we'll start calling you. Although, there's reasons we probably don't want to do that, but we'll just leave that for another video. So, anyway guys, like before, I sent out a list on Five9's Twitter. This time, we asked you to let us know what your top 10 Grand Theft Auto games are. A lot of you came back with some answers. I'll be honest, not as many as Zelda, which I'm surprised at. So, if you're not happy with this list, it's your fault for not filling in the goddamn form. So what we're going to do is we are going to dive down just now and let you know what the final results are and what Five9 viewers who bothered to fill in the list decided as their top 10 GTA games of all time. But as always, we will start off with an honourable mention. And there's only one, because there only was 11 games to choose from. Lethal, why don't you let us know what that honourable mention goes to?
The honorable mention goes to GTA. Yes, the original GTA, which was published in 1997 and was originally marketed as a race and chase, but evolved into what we know it to be now after production issues. This game focuses on allowing the player to perform various jobs for crime syndicates across 3 fake US cities. Your goal is to get a certain amount of points to complete the level, but the open world lets you approach it however you want.
One interesting fact about GTA, it's the only GTA game to this day that has San Andreas, Vice City and Liberty City all in the one game.
Ooh,
there you go.
There you go.
So, there you go. Maybe one day we'll get that in 3D form. I know people have wanted it for a long time, but that is the only one so far that has given us that. So now we're going to jump into the list proper, and with all lists you start in reverse order. So coming in at number 10 we have GTA Advance. If you couldn't guess by the name, it was on the Game Boy Advance. So it was released at the same day as San Andreas. It was released for the Game Boy Advance. The game is a prequel to GTA 3 and it is set in Liberty City. It follows a new protagonist with the really creative name of Mike as he becomes engrossed in a world of organised crime and warfare as he investigates his partner's death. The game is played top-down, similar to GTA, but is part of the canon of the 3D GTA games that came before it. It really is a fusion of the 2D style with a lot of the features from the 3D worlds.
Coming in at number 9, GTA London. This is an expansion pack for the original GTA and takes place in a fictionalized London in the 1960s. You control a criminal working alongside several London villains on different jobs. Some changes were made to also match the vehicles of that time period, as well as including British slang in places where necessary.
British slang like you know what I mean? Yeah, give me some tea and biscuits.
All that
was
cool
the way
stuff.
it went down. Yeah, give me some tea and biscuits. That was the way it went down. Anyway, after GTA London, we have the next one on the list, which is number 8, and it was released in 1999. It is Grand Theft Auto 2, or to give it its given name, GTA 2. The second main installment in the GTA series focuses on the players taking on the role as a criminal in a fictional futuristic city. This game was unique as it featured live action scenes filmed by the team at Rockstar, so you can imagine how wooden they probably were. The game also keeps the top-down perspective from the original, but did add some new features. For example, players could now save their game during a playthrough, as well as much more interactive environments to play with.
Coming in at number 7, GTA Chinatown Wars. This game was developed for handheld consoles and mobile devices and saw its first release for DS in March of 2009. Taking place again in Liberty City, this game follows a young gang member named Huang Li. We find him left for dead by an unknown enemies, and after they steal a family heirloom, he survives and goes on to get involved in a power struggle against the gangs of Liberty City. This game is critically one of the best GTA games ever developed and outperformed expectations.
not a bad game. It's since been ported to pretty much everything under the sun. Get it on your smartphone, get it whatever. It's a good game, but if you've not played it, I recommend it. Definitely give it a go. Give it a go. If you get any downtime and you decide you want to play a game on your mobile that's not constantly wanting you to spend money on new characters, I'd say getting a good traditional game like this. I think it's like $7 or something like that.
I would say by now it should be cheap. This is a game that's out quite a while.
It's worth it as well. It's definitely a good game. So, coming in at number 6 on the list, I believe this is the first 3D game that's made the list so far, and from here on out, they're all 3D games. So number 6 on the list is GTA Liberty City Stories. It's the 9th installment in the franchise, and it was exclusive to the PSP when it launched. Liberty City Stories released in October of 2005. It was later ported to PS2 for half the price because they could not include the custom soundtrack ripping capability. The game was a prequel to GTA 3, and it follows mobster Tony Cipriani as he tries to rise through the ranks of the Leon crime family. Leon? I was going to call you Leon Lethal. Was this one of the earlier games that you can remember playing?
Yeah, you touched upon it when you said PSP. I remember, back at the time, I think this was one of the first PSP. If it was, I'm gonna say I think it was one of the first, right? If not the first PSP game of a GTA title,
Oh no, it was the first.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I only butchered that so bad. Jesus Christ. Okay, sorry about that.
I thought you were going to say it was a launch title. I was like, no.
No, yeah. I thought about that and I was like, because I'm pretty sure I played one of these games on PSP, and I'm more than positive it was this game that I played on PSP. Yeah. No, I mean, it wasn't like it had anything for me that I can think of, like right off the back here, that was so much different from all the other games. But I mean, I just remember at the time it being on PSP was like a cool thing, a big deal, because being able to play GTA like on the go on your PSP was obviously a pretty hype thing. So my biggest memory of this is sadly just being able to play this on PSP and having like that GTA, that GTA lifestyle on the go pretty much, Yeah,
it was good, man. Like I say, I think I said this before when we were talking privately. It had issues. I mean, it wasn't as good as a normal GTA game. Like the roads were a bit sparse, a bit of motion blur when you were playing. But at the end of the day, limitations of the hardware and all that. The PSP wasn't exactly a powerhouse, so they done really well getting it running on that. And yeah, it definitely was an interesting title. It could have been a system seller if it wasn't for the fact they ported it to the PS2. But there you go.
Right. Coming in at number 5, GTA 3. This installment released in 2001 and became the best-selling video game of that year. As the first 3D game in the series, it really opened up plenty of new features for the development team to work on. The story follows criminal Claude's quest for revenge against his girlfriend who betrayed him and left him for dead after a bank robbery. Claude's quest takes him through all 3 islands of Liberty City as well.
Oh yeah, Liberty City. I was getting confused there. I was like, all 3? I thought it meant all 3 cities. GTA 3 was a system seller. People flocked to buy the PS2 for this title. When you get people going into government offices and stating, you need to ban this game, it's corrupting the youth of today, the first thing people want to do is go and buy that game. So all these politicians that tried to ban this game probably done more harm for their own cause, and they pushed sales through the roof for this title. And it was one of the titles that really helped cement the PlayStation, because it was exclusive and history is one of the best consoles of all time. Now, following on from 3, we have 4, and also number 4 on the list, which is GTA 4. Released in 2008 and also set in Liberty City. You notice a theme here? They use Liberty City quite a lot. This game follows war vet Niko Bellic as he attempts to overcome his past while fighting off loan sharks and mob bosses. This game included an online multiplayer mode that allowed up to 32 players to engage in co-op and competitive gameplay. GTA 4 is among the top when it comes to reception, scoring 98 out of 100 on Metacritic among countless 10 out of 10s from big publications, which, need to double check it, I think it's still one of the top scored games of all time, still on Metacritic to this day. Many love the open world design for this game and the fresh narrative. Lethal, what was your thoughts of Niko Bellic?
I just remember a lot of, hey, Niko. I just remember a lot of that. And honestly, the co-op. This is one of those games where I think I remember playing a lot of co-op on this one, between this one and San Andreas. These are the ones where I actually played, if anything, the most co-op ever in a GTA game, because I haven't sadly touched recent co-op stuff. But I would say this one, yeah, definitely for me personally, my biggest memories are definitely the co-op option, like the co-op opportunities that they had in this game, and being able to. I think I might have mentioned before, but I think you played as like, was it like any character you established a relationship with and stuff? I think in this game, you called them up and whatnot. I don't know. Those are my memories of it, but I do believe co-op for me was a big one for this game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did enjoy this title. My only gripe with GTA 4 was the handling and the cars. I found that in GTA 4, I would often get a taxi to where I was going, because it was the first game that you could actually flag down a taxi and just skip to where you wanted to go.
I can see that being a thing.
Yeah, I think it was one of the first ones that I did that because I didn't really enjoy the handling so much. It was quite floaty. So yeah, but GTA 4 was a great title apart from that.
Coming in at number 3, GTA San Andreas. This follows up to Vice City, which was released in 2004 and takes place in a fictional state of San Andreas based on California and Nevada. The plot is heavily based on real-life events from LA in the early 90s, such as the street games, the crack epidemic, the LAPD Rampart scandal, and the 92 LA riots. This game also included RPG-style mechanics and customization options. This game won plenty of awards as well, and was the best-selling game of 2014. And rightfully so. Let me just say, Hazing, I absolutely love this GTA game, along with another one that we didn't get to yet, which is nice to see that it's up there. But San Andreas definitely goes as like the second most favorite of mine of the GTA series. I played this a ton on PlayStation 2, like a ton on PlayStation 2. And I think one of the biggest things I liked about this GTA title that I can't really remember if the other ones had it too much, and I think that's why this is a big aspect of it, but it was like those RPG kind of mechanics, like customization options, being able to make your main character kind of buff or skinny, however you kind of wanted to do it. I think that was a big thing, and I think we might have talked about it a little bit before the video, but like the story for this game, oh my god, I think I absolutely loved this story. You know, it was such a, just the way they did it, and I think you even nailed it too, talking about, again, prior to this, you know, the different actors that were involved into it. But I actually really just love the story, and I love the character. And my biggest thing, man, I don't know why I have a big fond memory of this, but I remember loving to ride the bike in this game. Go into like I think they had like the skate parks and just like riding the bike there and trying to do stuff. Dude, that's like my biggest memory of this game, but it was such a good time. What about you, Hazing?
I've got two completely different memories of this game. One of my big memories of this game was running around the streets smacking people over the head with a giant dildo, because you got that as one of your weapons. The other one was I had this game on Xbox and I had the hot coffee mod installed in it, so whenever you used to go back home with your girlfriends, it would go in and have fully clothed sex scenes. It was just utterly stupid, you know what I mean? That caused an absolute uproar. Again, people were like, what, you can actually have sex in this game? But it was just, it was ludicrous, it was laughable, do you know what I mean? Like when you actually seen how bad it was. But yeah, I had the hot coffee mod, so yeah, I remember that, as well as jetpacks and all the other crazy stuff. But
yeah, oh my god, yes, the jetpacks and co-op. Sorry, I had to toss it in. That was such a good time.
Yeah, I must say, but the biggest memory I've got of this is probably the hot coffee mod, to be honest. So number 2 on this list is probably, I mean, it's arguably my favorite GTA game. I say arguably because I think the one in number 1 probably is, do you know what I mean? Going from a technical point of view. But for fondest memories, it definitely goes to number 2, which is GTA Vice City, or as I like to call it, Scarface the game. I still remember to this day when I booted this game up for the first time, hearing Ray Liotta's voice blasting through. I was like, that's the guy for Goodfellas. That's amazing. Do you know what I mean? I get sucked right into it. It was set in Vice City, which is basically a fictional Miami in 1986. It follows Tommy Vercetti's rise to power after his release from prison. He slowly builds an empire by seizing power from other organisations. Like many other GTA games, this game faced plenty of backlash for its portrayal of violence and racial stereotypes, sparking plenty of lawsuits. It didn't stop the game, however, from becoming the best-selling game of 2002. Obviously, GTA games follow that trend all the time. They usually become massive sellers, none more so than the next one we're going to talk about. But I'd say apart from Ray Liotta doing the voice, because I really did like the actor, like Goodfellas at the time was one of my favourite films. I loved that movie. The soundtrack to this game is just phenomenal. I love 80s music. I still do love 80s music. even though I was a bit too young for it properly when I was born, music-wise, I was more 90s. But as I've got older, I love listening to 80s music. And to be honest, GTA Vice City probably has a lot to answer for when it comes to that, because I still hear songs to this day and I think GTA. I don't think of the era, I don't think of the music. I hear the song and I just think Vice City. It happens to me all the time.
No, that soundtrack, it's definitely iconic. I still like, I just remember the loading screen. I think it had music associated to it and whatnot. Like, I just remember, like you said, the soundtrack was perfect for that. But I think for me, I love Vice City so much because I think it's like that one game for some reason that just defines my PlayStation 2 experience. When I think of that, like, when I think of PS2, I just think of Vice City, because that was the game I think I played the most on my PS2 ever. But I think it's a mix of, right, having it was a good story, right, that they had for a GTA game for that time and everything. Mm-hmm. But on top of that, I think I just really loved the environment, the setting, the beach. You know, we talked about it again before, but like, you know, the lights and everything that they use, and neon lights for just a lot of the different settings and whatnot. But I think all that came together and just made a good package. And listen, I will never forget. I think it was what? Up, down, left, right, L1, R2, L1, R2, X, circle, square, triangle. Dude, the amount of cheat codes I used in that game was ridiculous. Giving myself infinite armor, life, all the guns in the game, chainsaws, I think. I gave myself everything. Yeah. Getting the mud, like, dude, that game is just the most stories that I can recall as a kid ever playing a GTA title.
Yeah. The thing is, I remember doing it all in GTA, doing the taxi missions and all the rest of it to get like, the tiger, strike taxi and stuff like that. You do everything. It was phenomenal. Definitely GTA. Fondest memories definitely go to GTA Vice City for me. So Lethal, why don't you put us all out of our misery and let us know what number one is? I mean, I think people might have guessed by this stage, but let's go ahead and tell them anyway.
To no surprise, number one comes at GTA 5. Released in 2013, the last of the main entries in the GTA series, this game is also set in San Andreas. It follows three protagonists: retired bank robber Michael DeSanta, street gangster Franklin Clinton, and drug-dealing arms smuggler Trevor Phillips. The three work to commit heists and face pressure from a corrupt government agency and powerful criminals. The game broke industry sales records and became the fastest-selling entertainment product in history, making over $1 billion in its first 3 days. It finishes as the second best-selling video game of all time. And I mean, Hazink, it's no surprise, right? This game, story for me wise, was probably my favorite. And I think I mentioned again on a side thing, because I always talk about it. I always say it like this, but like on a side note, you know, talking about it with you on a side. This game, story wise, I didn't expect it, especially coming from three different characters, right? And I know we talked about it before, but to me, that was a brand new experience. I remember being confused at first, like, wait a minute, now we're playing as this guy, now we're playing as him. And I don't think anybody could ever take away their experience of this game by not liking Trevor. Hazen, What do you think?
Trevor feckin' Phillips. But yeah, I mean, again, I think when we had a little private chat about this, I said to you that ultimately I think it's Franklin's story. You know, I mean, everything's is like framed around Franklin and stuff, but I think it's hard to come away from that game and not have some sort of a feelings for Trevor. For some people, they're negative feelings because Trevor's not a nice guy. When you play the game, he's not a nice guy. He does some pretty hideous things in the game, but most people, I think, come away from it, despite his flaws and despite the fact that he is actually an evil son of a gun, shall we say. Most people come away from it loving Trevor. The game also has multiple endings as well. But most people see it as there's only one real, true, proper ending, you know, the good ending. But yeah, I love it. And you know what we've not even touched on, Lethal? You got a whole other game bundled with this as well, GTA Online. And again, that's something else that pushed this game to new heights. I mean, we've touched a couple of times on how the little multiplayer modes that were added to GTA 4 and stuff like that were pretty decent. They took that to the next level with GTA Online, and you got to do full story missions, heists. You got to go online and do crazy stunts with your friends and stuff, or you could just seek and destroy and just wipe people out across a massive map. It was a hell of a lot of fun. I know that Lethal here hasn't spent that much time playing online, but we are going to rectify this little spoiler. We're going to rectify that, and Lethal's going to be playing online with us at the end of the week. I'm just scared because I feel like I'm going to have to carry his ass, but we'll see how we go with that one. Leafo, are you looking forward to actually getting in and doing some heists and making some money in GTA Online?
Hell yeah, dude, I can't wait. And I think it's because, you know, a lot of my time with any multiplayer aspect of like GTA is like is more of a co-op experience, right? Because of the past ones that I play, like San Andreas and the other one. And this one I'm excited because, you know, there is some competitive aspects to it too, right? I mean, there's the whole heisting stuff like that, but I am more also interested in like the competitive parts of the online experience. But I mean, I've heard the stories, man. You rank up this money, you get a bunch of money, you start buying. I don't know if it's you buy your own houses or you build your own houses. You know, you get your own cars. I mean, I know there's like a whole like life simulator kind of into the whole like GTA Online, right? Besides just like the competitive stuff and a lot of this co-op stuff, there's a lot to it. So I can't wait to kind of dive into that as someone who's like, you know, I'd never really played it. I've kind of watched other people do it, and I played the other co-op experiences, but never really touched GTA Online yet. So, dude, I'm excited. I can't wait to hop in it with you guys.
Yeah, I remember I spent something like at least 5 or 6 million on a lowrider. A lowrider, so I've got this fancy lowrider in the game and I never use it. I've got a penthouse apartment, but I've probably not played GTA Online in about a year, so I'll probably go back and all my money will be gone. But, you know, I should load it up a couple of times because I think you get 500,000 credit a day until the PlayStation 5 version comes out, so I should really be logging on and claiming that, to be honest. But guys, that is it for this list. Like I've already touched on, this is going to be a GTA week. We're going to have more GTA related goodness coming up. So yeah, just make sure you catch us on our social media to find out what's coming out. We'll be doing more lists like this in the future, so make sure you check them out as well. Vote on the social media, make your voice heard. So like I said at the start of the video, I'm John, aka Hazink, and that is Jared from Subway, right there.
No, we're not ending it that way. I'm Lethal One. Oh my God, Jared from Subway.
If you guys want to, let's get it trending. Jared from Subway is Lethal.
Oh my God.
But anyway, guys, I'm not going to let Lethal say anything because I think he's going to come back and give me some cheek. But that's it, guys. So make sure you check out this video, obviously, because you've watched it this far. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next 5-9 video. Peace.